Modern cities were supposed to be humanity's greatest achievement. But what if the cities we admire today are quietly being built to fail future generations? From gridlocked megacities to perfect planned capitals, the biggest urban designs in the world are hiding the same dangerous flaws. Across the world, from New York City to Dubai, from Brasilia to Lagos, cities are growing faster than ever before. But behind the skyscrapers and highways, there's a pattern of design mistakes repeating itself. And if ignored, these mistakes won't just affect cities. They will define the future of human life itself. The first and perhaps biggest mistake modern cities made was designing everything around cars. Cities like Los Angeles became symbols of freedom and mobility, but ended up trapped in endless congestion. In many places, wide roads, highways, parking lots, and low-density suburbs were treated as signs of progress, while walkability, cycling, and public transport were neglected. The cause of this problem lies in a planning culture that assumed the private car would remain the default mode of city life forever. That assumption shaped zoning rules, road funding, and suburban expansion for decades. The impact has been severe. Traffic congestion, long commutes, air pollution, wasted land, higher carbon emissions, and weaker public life. Cities like Los Angeles show how this model becomes self-destructive, because once a city is spread too thin and built around the car, it becomes extremely expensive and difficult to reverse. Instead of connecting people, cities began to separate them. Despite this, there is a solution. First, there is the need to redesign urban streets instead of the focus of being mainly on private cars. Let the focus shift to designing the areas around pedestrians. Walkable, clean, and safe walkways create a sense of security and gives people an option of walking rather than using private cars, even for the short walks. Secondly, prioritizing and encouraging cycling activities and infrastructure around neighborhoods and streets. Not only does it ease movement, it promotes a healthy society. Thirdly, reducing dependency on cars by improving other means of transport, like rail and metro transit. Increasing the areas covered by rail transit eases mobility around urban areas. Another major failure is the way many cities separate housing, commerce, work, and recreation into isolated zones. This produces cities that function like fragments rather than living communities. The cause is old planning logic that believed strict separation would create order, reduce conflict, and improve efficiency. In reality, it has often produced dead streets, long travel distances, and neighborhoods that are inactive for large parts of the day. The impact is both social and economic. People spend more time moving between places, local businesses struggle, streets feel empty, and community interaction weakens. This kind of planning also increases dependence on transport systems and makes cities less resilient when mobility systems fail. Brasilia is a strong example of how a highly planned city can look impressive but still struggle to create the everyday vibrancy that people need. The solution is mixed-use development, where homes, shops, schools, workplaces, and public spaces exist together in the same urban fabric, allowing neighborhoods to remain active, efficient, and socially alive throughout the day and night. Thirdly, modern cities have also made the mistake of physically separating the rich from the poor, often through housing markets, weak planning controls, exclusionary zoning, and unequal infrastructure investment. These failures aren't accidents. They are designed into the system. The cause is not only economic pressure, but policy choices that allow land speculation, unaffordable housing, and underinvestment in low-income districts. As a result, the wealthy live in cleaner, safer, greener, better serviced neighborhoods, while millions of others are pushed into informal settlements or neglected outskirts with poor drainage, weak sanitation, and limited transport access. The impact is devastating because inequality becomes permanent in the shape of the city itself. Children grow up with less access to schools, healthcare, jobs, and safe public space, while the city as a whole becomes more unstable and divided. Cities like Lagos and Nairobi reveal how quickly a fast-growing city can become deeply uneven when housing supply and infrastructure do not keep pace with population growth. The solution is inclusive planning, just like SNUPR, more affordable housing, stronger tenant protection, insight to upgrading of informal settlements, community land trusts, and public housing that is integrated into the wider city rather than hidden away on the margins. If cities don't plan for inclusion, they end up designing inequality. Fourthly, most cities have garnered nature and built against it. Modern cities didn't just expand, they erased the natural systems that sustained them. Nature doesn't forgive nor forgets, and sooner or later, it always comes back what to reclaim what belonged to it. The cause is a development mindset that sees nature as a barrier to growth instead of a foundation for survival. This has led cities to fill in wetlands, pave over drainage corridors, overdraw groundwater, and build on unstable or flood-prone land. The impact is now impossible to ignore. Repeated flooding, sinking land, water shortages, heat stress, and declining ecological health. Jakarta is a striking case study because land subsidence and flooding have made the city increasingly vulnerable, while Mexico City shows what can happen when groundwater extraction and urban expansion are pushed beyond sustainable limits. Lagos also demonstrates that flooding is often made worse by planning failure, not only by rainfall. The strongest solution is to build with ecological systems, not against them. Restore wetlands, protect floodplains, expand green infrastructure. Use permeable surfaces, harvest rainwater, recharge aquifers, and preserve urban forests and waterways as protective assets rather than disposable land. We forget how dangerous nature can be. We want to forget, I think. We don't want to be reminded that nature is more deadly than man. Man can be cruel, but nature is indifferent. It is the unrivaled psychopath. A final and extremely dangerous mistake is the neglect of maintenance, resilience, and long-term governance. Many cities are happy to build new projects for visibility and political reward, but they underinvest in drainage, water systems, roads, power networks, and sewer infrastructure that quietly hold the city together. The cause is short-term political thinking, fragmented institutions, corruption, and the pressure to favor visible projects over less glamorous repair work. The impact is that cities become brittle, small shocks turn into major crises, a storm becomes a flood, a heat wave becomes a health emergency, a power outage becomes a citywide breakdown. Future generations then inherit systems that are old, overloaded, and expensive to fix. The solution is not cosmetic. Cities need stronger institutions, better maintenance budgets, transparent decision-making, coordinated planning across sectors, and governance structures that reward resilience instead of spectacle. Without that, even the most beautiful city will remain one disaster away from failure. The future of cities won't be defined by height or technology, but by how well they serve human life. Because the truth is, we don't just live in cities. Cities shape how we live, and the mistakes we ignore today will become the crises of tomorrow.